Travis Wayne Goodsell. I went through the Los Angeles Temple when I received my Brigham Young Temple Endowment loyalty oaths in May 6th, 1989. That was after I had been given my call to go to the New York mission, and was finished the first year at Rick's, came home, parents had it all set up, and so it was a big one-room event, and it was on a Saturday, wasn't it? Or was it Friday? Let's do time and date, find out. 1989.
Gentlemen, if you have not yet checked in today, please check at the main desk before 7 p.m.
Yeah, Saturday. As it's Los Angeles, and it's easier to get to the temple on a Saturday evening than on a Friday evening. And then they can group all of those of us who are going through for the first time, whether it's wedding or mission or further own. And I'd already received the wedgie in the initiatories with the magic underwear. It was the two-parter, tops and bottoms. And the old man made sure to tuck it in, made me very uncomfortable. And then the guy who was officiating as Anubis told me, he told you to tuck them in, didn't he? Well, you don't need to, you just have to wear both of them. So I tuck it out. And we're told at the very beginning that if we choose not to go through with it, now's the time, because otherwise it's too late for you. And then they get to this thing where the younger generation apparently is clueless on and doesn't understand what this thumb represents, which still remains. The memory still remains. Yeah, it's what's called the penalty, the sign of the penalty, or the execution of the penalty. And it's for the tokens of each priesthood where it's brought up. This was pre-1991 when Benson made the change. The tailbone. It's time for dinner too. And so I'm gonna read it to you. After the first token, Elohim says this is the sign for the sign of the first token of the Melchizedek priesthood. He says the execution of the penalty is represented by placing the thumb under the left ear, the palm hand down, and the fingers close together, and he doesn't say that in this text, by drawing the thumb quickly across the throat to the right ear and dropping the hand to the side. Yeah, this is a quick kill because the jugular is on the left side. And then he goes on to say, I will now explain the covenant and obligation of secrecy which are associated with this token, its name, sign, and penalty, and which you will be required to take upon yourselves. If I were receiving it for my own endowment today, and had been given the name of John as my new name, I would repeat in my mind these words after making the sign, at the same time representing the execution of the penalty. I, John, covenant that I will never reveal the first token of the Aaronic priest. Oh, whoops. I didn't reveal the token, did I? But I am a whistleblower. Helaman chapter 6, verse 24. I have no problem sharing it with you, because it's this right arm to the square. And so then you bring the right arm to the square, whoop. But with the others, there are different signs for the other tokens, with its accompanying name, sign, and penalty. Rather than do so, I would suffer my life to be taken. And we've all come to understand that if you reveal anything in the temple, you're supposed to kill yourself. That's where that comes from. Even though it's revealing just the tokens with its accompanying names, signs, and penalties. You ever notice any titles of my videos where I put in and its accompanying? That's where I get it from. Only the older generation apparently seems to remember. Guess we're the only ones who were faithful in going to the temple. And so, would yeah, it's just for the covenants. But Brigham Young added a blood atonement, which Mormons are in denial of these days. No. We don't do that anymore. Yeah. Well, why do the other FLDS groups do it? Where did they get it from? Exactly. And so, in which that's where the merging of the penalty for revealing the name, signs, and tokens and penalties with anything that goes on in the temple. Because there was Death to America covenant in there as well. So, understand that's where it's coming from. And so what would happen then if a president of the church failed to fulfill his duties as the president of the church in keeping the covenant path, shall we say, hypothetically, as they are older and all were pre-1991, they all know of this and know what the thumb represents. Would they? Would they take their own life, recognizing they have failed? So think about that in the coming days. 2 days. 2 days. Think about that. Because there's a goat shepherd that has a falling star at the neck. So I'm kind of curious about that. Did some research, and that's what came to mind. So I thought I'd share that with you. The penalty, execution of the penalty from the temple.